Oh, I didn't see you there. It's me, Thomas Edward, and on my holiday in Derbyshire. Well, not in Derbyshire today, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. At the moment, I'm in front of this great sign behind me, Pink National Park, Flash, the highest village in Britain, 1,518 feet. And please drive carefully. And actually, I'm in Staffordshire. Now, you think of Staffordshire normally of being Wedgwood, you know, the pottery, and Robbie Williams, you know, but actually it has one of the highest villages in Britain called Flash. Now you're probably thinking Flash is in that cleaning project for like making your bath all scrub-a-dub-dub with tea, you know.
Use Flash. Look, it's in a bathroom pack too. Oh. It's waterproof and it sprinkles. Flash cleans without grit, so it never scratches the enamel.
And the bath keeps it shine.
You pass with honours.
The honours should go to Flash. I grant you the Order of the Bath.
Aye, Flash cleans baths without scratching.
Yeah, but no, actually, it's actually a little village in the very edge of Staffordshire. I must say that behind me over there is the Three Shires, and what that means is Derbyshire's over there, Cheshire's over that hill, and we're stood in the very edge of Staffordshire. So we're in the borders, we're in outlaw country. You know, this is where all the outlaws of the past used to sort of hang around here and have their own money and do their own shady deals and keep the land working kind of thing, but they weren't part of any county, they were in the middle. So we've come up here to see the highest village, because in Nenthead, what's in the borders of Scotland, just above Carlisle, I think it's more near Dumfries than anything, they had the proudest plaque saying, "Well, we're the highest village in the country." But the BBC went, "I don't think you are." And they went down here. They measured both villages, Flash and Nenthead. They came here and they realised here that one of the houses in Flash was actually a lot taller than any of the houses in Nenthead. So they went, no, Flash is the highest village in Britain. So you won't know that in Staffordshire, and it's in Staffordshire as well, where you think Staffordshire is quite flat and doesn't really have any big hills, but it does, because Flash is on a big hill. So he said, no, that's the highest village. But Flash in recent years has lost its school. I think they only had like one pupil in the last few years of it. Now with a village not having a school, it makes the village into a hamlet. So it's not, because it hasn't got a school. A village has it has everything. It has a pub, church, school. It has the whole shebang what makes a village work. But when you lose that, it isn't a village anymore. So is Flash still the highest village in Britain? That is the question with yours truly, Thomas Edward. But today I'm actually going to take you into Flash. We're going to walk up the village, and I'm going to take you in Churchyard. Well, it's quite an interesting churchyard because it's all overgrown, and you've got to get a key from somewhere to get in it. It's not just an open church, because we're going to show you a bit of Thomas Edward family history. What's quite interesting, it's going to take us on a bit of a jaunt around the Staffordshire little narrow lanes to go and look at some old buildings what T.E.'s family used to live in many years ago, and some other history what we'll get onto later. But let's walk up into Flash and get in church, and I'll tell you a bit more when we get up there. Bring you to a very overgrown churchyard where you have to walk over people's graves to get down here. You know, there's no like prominent path to get through, so I won't normally do that. But it's a very wild church at Flash, and it's not just wild with the looks; it's wild with you. There's actually not much of a grave plan in here to find who or where anyone is buried. You know, in your history. So in here somewhere, I think it's around here. I came here about 8 years ago with my brother and my mum. you know, we're doing family history. And it was a bit more overgrown actually. It was in summer, it was probably like knee-high in grass. It's winter now, we're middle of winter, so it's all a bit beat trodden down. And there is the newer bit up there you can see, but all this is all the older stuff going down and to the other side of the church. But around here somewhere there's a great granddad of me, Thomas Edward, what's called Thomas Pickford. See, the Thomas goes way back in the family, you know, to keep the name strong. So Thomas Pickford, he's buried in here somewhere, but there's no grave plan to actually say where he is. So we don't really know where he is. I could be stood on him for all I know. And the church isn't really an open church like they normally have, where you can just walk in and sign the book and have a sit down and whatever. It's actually always locked, and you have to go up the road into the farm and get key, and guy gives you a key so you can get in church. That's proper. It's proper like old-fashioned sort of small village kind of church, that is. It's not like a big church you find in a bigger town. So, you know, you'd have to go and get a key if you want to go inside. But today we don't need to do that. We're going to actually show you this great man, Thomas Pickford, who's buried in here, who's related to Thomas Edward. Actually, was brought up round here, but down the road in a place called Gander Hole. And he was brought up there, and then he farmed it. But there's only one piece of that farm left, because when his farm eventually went into ruin, the barn, people took all the bricks out of the farm and made a barn out of this farm. So there's one building left, but it's made out of the original bricks of the farm, what he farmed and brought up with, and etc, etc. It's actually on the Goldsytch Moss. We'll show you the sign when we go down the road, and it just says Goldsytch Moss, and we'll go over there. And then we'll get to Gander Hole and we'll show you, well actually, I think we'll go and have a gander in Gander Hole and then show you where he lived and where the gene pool of Thomas Edward comes from. And then we're going to go on from there and look at more family history a bit further across in another interesting house what's built into the rock. So let's climb back out of here and get back to Cannes. I must say, lots of cool tractors around this area. I've just seen a big Massey Ferguson go past with a trailer. And there's lots of old-fashioned tractors. It's rocking the TE brain, it is. It's pretty cool. We might see some on our travels, I'll show you. But I'll have to get back up here. Oh, well, we've come to have a gander at Gander Hole. What's actually that over there? That little barn. It's the only thing left. No, it hasn't. As I was saying before, it isn't the only thing left of the farm. It's the brick in the barn was actually old brick used from the old farm. So when it was a ruin, they built that with it. So probably this farmer here, or the farm in the very background, maybe built it out the ruin. Now we're going to go and have a look, a bit of a closer TE sort of gander at the Gander Hole. So we're going to go and touch the rock, you know, touch my ancestors and go, oh, yeah, and it might come through, I might get electronic shock off it, you know, because it might be so like full of power. But we're actually on quite a good view up here. It's very, very windy today and it's a bit stormy. I think rain's coming in slowly. Over there you can see, over there right in the middle of those hills, there's like a peak what pops up above, and that's Shoplin's Low, that is, if you can just see it on camera. And then to the left of it, you're looking into Cheshire there. You can see that big tower. It's actually, I think it's a BT tower, and so some people actually call that Sutton Common, at BT Tower, or it's also known as Croker Hill, and that's in Cheshire. That is, we're looking over into Cheshire over there, but we're stood in Staffordshire here on this ground. But we're in the, as I was saying, the three shires are in the middle of all the different counties. You know, Derbyshire's over there, Cheshire, and then all this is, and over that way is Staffordshire. So, but anyway, we're going to get over here and have a mooch over the marsh and have a look on the Gander Hole, where Thomas Pickford was brought up and he farmed. Right, it seems to be locked, but it's someone else's. I won't be going in it anyway. But oh look, let me get my torch out and have a look for this. I want to have a gander through the hole at Gander Hole. You see, pretty good that. Anyway, I'll look in here. Oh, some deck chairs in there. He's actually had some breeze blocks put on the end, so it's still well used. But apparently, as the tale goes, some of this stone here, and the stone what you can actually see lying around in the ground, and all here is part of the original Gander Hole. Now I must say, this barn was nothing to do with Gander Hole, but the brick is. The brick's to do with Gander Hole. It was around here. Now on maps, there's no sign of this farm ever existing, unless you have a really old map to say it was actually here. And that's the only way you can really find it. New maps, you don't even know. But just behind us is Adder's Green, so you can see that on the map. But you can't see there was a farm here. But as you know, if you follow the Thomas Edward channel, you know I like to have a dig about in the bush. And I'm just seeing off camera over here. Here is like a bit of a wall there, and another bit of a wall. That's probably like an old room there. So this is Gander Hole. This is Thomas Edward's family home. Great Thomas Pickford's home. And now all these years later, in 2022, Thomas Edward, who got the same name as him, is wandering around in his house. But I'm in a totally different universe, and it doesn't exist anymore, and his rocks are in that barn. Or not his rocks, his stone is in that barn over there. And it's very atmospheric up here. It's a bit like a Nairn film, really, when he's up in borders and wind and it's howling. And and you can see all behind us, all Cheshire, and I can feel rain on my face now, Cheshire. We're in Staffordshire, and Derbyshire's behind us, and the storm's coming in. Well, I think we'll best start moving in a minute before we get trapped. But the big storm's coming across slowly. It's coming across from west. It's very westerly today, the storm, and the rain and the wind. Right, well, let's move on. There's water on lens, and you probably can't see it, it's all blurry. We're going to go up to those rocks up there and get a bit of shout, and I'll tell you where we're going to go next. We've come from over there, from Gander Hole, and I've come over to these rocks because they're magnificent. Some of the rocks on here, mega. All along this ridge here, there's all these big sticky outy rocks, what are famous for this part of the world. We're going to go to some more famous rocks, what are just over that hill over there. You just see the edge of them, just over there, and that's the Roaches over there. And we're going to go and drive in that valley and drive up that hill and round the back of it, and you can park on the other side. And the Roaches are over there. And what's important about the Roaches and the T.E. Thomas Edward story today is in Gander Hole there, Thomas Pickford, his wife was called Hannah Bowyer, and she had a cousin called Bess Bowyer, and she lived over there in a very interesting house. What I'm not going to tell you till I get there and till I show you. And I should say Bess is a short name for Elizabeth, and she was a cousin to Hannah Bowyer, so we're going to go over there and show you something very interesting where she lived, and some interesting tales as well. But we've got to go over there to show you the roaches. But so I'll have to get back down here and get in the car and get over there. So I need to go down here, I think. Well, it's like that big stone there with the steps carved out in the side of it is like the great stone of 4 stones what you get up at well, actually I've done a video on at Bowyer, and that was placed in outlaw country between Lancashire and Yorkshire, and a bit of Cumbria on edge as well. And now that's a very similar big stone in outlaw country, but this is a whole different country this is compared to up north. It was very similar, that. It's pretty good, that. But we've come actually to see what's up there, but you might not be able to see. It blends so well into the rocks of the roaches, you know, the rocks of the roaches, it blends in. So you might be able to see it on camera, you might not be able to, but we'll go and show you a closer look anyway. I think it's that way. So when I was at Gander Hole, over there on the back of the roaches, I was talking about Thomas Pickford and his wife called Hannah Bowyer, and her cousin was Bess Bowyer, you know, it's short for Elizabeth. Well, Bess Bowyer lived here, but she didn't live in this bit you see to the left. Now, Rock Hall Cottage, you think it's buried into rocks. Well, this was built at a slightly later date. The proper original sort of cottage is on the back, and it's actually a cave. It's a house in a cave. I'll show you a bit of B-roll after. But Bess Bowyer, Hannah Bowyer's cousin, who was also in the, you know, Bess Bowyer's in the TE tree, lived in the cave bit around the back there, about 1850s. You can see on census. Now Bess Bowyer, she lived in there. And it was quite wild, you know. You'd expect this on a winter's day, blowing sides of rain and snow and all sorts of Staffordshire, Derbyshire sort of weather, and it's pretty wild up here. And probably only running on candle lights, no electrics, probably no gas or anything, oil, just, you know, candle light. She'd be in that little cave, and apparently the cave bit has little tunnels and little like secret rooms in it, inside of the roaches, so you can come out on top in a little tunnel. And she used to look after outlaws who were running away from the army or people who just don't run, and she'd get them in the tunnel and take them down. She'd look after them, keep them, you know. And because this is outlaw country between Derbyshire, Staffordshire and Cheshire, you know, it's that mingle-mangle sort of land in the middle. She sort of did that, and, you know, no one knew where they were, but they were in here, they were in that little cave there. She was also a besom maker, and pretty much what that is someone who makes brooms, so a bit like a witch's broom, and that's what she did in there. So there's probably many a nice broom come out of there, and then what she'd do with them, because back then you'd have to walk to the nearest town or village, she'd walk over there to Leek with her brooms and sell them on the market. What's over there? And Leek Market's actually quite a good one. They still, you know, in 2022 you can still probably get a nice broom today, but you know, this was in the 1800s, well, mid 1800s when she'd go down there. Now, Best Bowyer, so this bit here on the side, this castellated house on the side, or cottage, was built in the 1870s, and it was built for a gamekeeper by Sir Philip Brocklehurst, who owned all of this land, everything, and he made a lot of money in Macclesfield in the silk industry, and he had a big house, and he had all the land, and he had this cave, but he built this castellated cottage here on the side of it for his gamekeeper, so he could look after all the land. So that's why it looks like that, and it looks, you know, it looks a bit sort of, it looks a bit odd on the side of the original cave. How would it get there, kind of thing? And that's pretty much what it is. He had so much dosh. Alright, go. I'll have a gamekeeper, and I'll build you a nice little castle house so you can live in it and look after the land. So that's why that looks different. So if we go back to Best Bowyer, who lived in the cave over there. Best Bowyer had a daughter who was very beautiful, and she'd do a lot of singing, I believe, you know, and apparently this singing she did wasn't in an English language, it was in a totally foreign language. And a TE theory on this is in Staffordshire, over there, Staffordshire have a different dialect. They're quite an interesting accent if you're from Staffordshire, especially if you get round Stoke area. I once went to a chippy in Stoke-on-Trent when it was shutting, and I said to the guy, "What have you got left?" And he said, "Fish duck." And I said, "I'll have the duck, please." Before we go and show you something else, I should say that Best Bowyer, she was a descendant of Bowyer of the Rocks, who was like a highwayman. You know, he's a bit of an outlaw himself. You know, in outlaw country, he was an outlaw himself. So she came down from quite an interesting family. So that's why she'd probably have she'd probably be quite an outlaw herself, because she had all this family history of other outlaw stuff. So we're gonna take you up a little path up the side of the roaches up there, and I'm going to take you to Mermaids Pool, and I'm going to take you to the Queen's Chair, and it's going to be up there. So we're going to go a bit of a trek now to get up there and show you something even more, you know, something what's just as interesting as the rest of this video. You know, your head will be at the end of this video. It's a good view up here of TE. You can see Bosley Cloud over there now, so I can just see, you know, that hill over there, Jodrell Bank. You probably won't be able to see that. But somewhere in the TE family, we have a big penny what was crushed in Jodrell Bank, and it turns around like some railway wheels. Well, it's somewhere in the family, but no one knows where it's gone. So it'd be good to get that one day, and maybe find it and show you that this big penny. So a tea granddad at Jodrell Bank, they put a new lining in the dish, but it didn't fit. So they went to, I think he sent it off, or they went to Lee Metals in Macclesfield, where T's granddad worked. And T's granddad worked out the circumference of the dish to put a new lining in, and then he went and checked the work, and I think he took a big penny with him, and as the wheel turned around, he put it underneath a rail and it crushed it, and it's always the tale in our family about this big penny, but I've never seen it. I don't even know it exists. So somewhere in the TE family someone's got it, but no one knows where. But hopefully one day I'll be able to find it and show you on camera that TE's granddad put it in Jodrell Bank and it crushed it. And it's a TE heirloom, I think it's called. But anyway, we'll get back to finding Mermaids Pool and the Queen's Chair. Nearly there. Bit more and then I'm there on top. So we're on top. Oh, it's a bit blowy up here, getting blown around. But behind us it's quite weird. You go up all that vertical, you get up back and it's just a moorland that sort of slowly waves down into the valley. And over there you can see at the beginning of the video we started off in Flash Village, or is it a village anymore because it hasn't got a school, but we started off over there, and that's Derbyshire, there behind that hill's Buxton. And then we're in, and this is where we are now. So we haven't come a million miles away really. And behind me is the Mermaids Pools over there somewhere, so we're going to go and look at that. So we're right on top here, and it's blustery, but you get a good view of pretty much, not just Staffordshire and Cheshire, pretty much the whole of England. Right down there, first of all, you probably can't see on camera, there's a tower in the hills down there, and that's Cannock. And there's a big power station there. And then you can, that's miles down the country that is, and then you can see past that in like Wolverhampton. And then you come across to where the sun is in the clouds. It looks like they've had a better day than us. That's in that's Shropshire, and like the Shropshire Hills, and also Wales is sort of that way behind there. It's like Longmynd, I think, somewhere in that direction, and then you can see past that into Wales. And then you come right round, and as you're coming into the Cheshire, and you're still looking over to the west. Here, this is the west side of England. Go right round, you can see Jodrell Bank's actually moved. It's facing up now, it's not facing us. So they're working it today, but past Jodrell Bank you can see Liverpool. Right, look, we've arrived at Mermaids Pool. Mermaids Pool is a bit blustery today. No, it's not still at all. I've got ripples up, wind blowing, and the water across. Good picture that. Now Mermaids Pool here, it's got several mysteries behind it. One of the mysteries, like geography mysteries, is but no one knows how it gets filled up. There's no stream to it, no like spring. It's just like what do you call a tarn or a mere almost. It's just a pool. And now the Mermaids Pool, it's actually called Doxy Pool as well. I think that's its proper name. But the Mermaid Pool is because it's shrouded in mystery. And that mystery is when you're walking up here, a guy was walking up here alone, coming back from the pub, going maybe back from Winking Man pub across, and there was a mermaid who'd come out of here and lure him in with some very nice, beautiful singing. Now some people say, oh, that's a load of cobblers that, and that singing was actually Bess Bowyer's daughter. I said sang in a foreign tongue, or after TV thought it was Stoke-on-Trent, like Staffordshire dialect. People said that was, you could hear the daughter singing, and then it wasn't the mermaid singing, luring you in. Yeah, and actually talking to Bess Bowyer's daughter, she eventually, some men came and took her away, and her mum sadly died of a broken heart only a year or so later. So yeah, it's full of TE family history, just in the Roaches, from over there at Flash all the way across here onto Rockhall Cottage. And anyway, this is the pool I've come to take you about. I'm getting blown away. We're going to fall off the Roaches in a minute, but we'll turn around and go back that way, and on the way back down off the Roaches I'll show you the Queen's Chair next. Right, I'm getting blown around here too much, so I'm going to get back down to lower ground and show you the Queen's Chair, because otherwise I'm going to get sucked in with the mermaids. So I'll best get out and get to Queen's Chair. So we've come down from up there, from Mermaids Pool, come back down to the Queen's chair, what's just behind me. I'm not going to sit on it today because it's too windy, it's blowing off. I'll end up down at the bottom at Rock Cottage if I'm not careful. But there you can see the plaque there. It tells you Prince and Princess of Tech. And there's the chair. But it's too windy to sit on it today. I'm not a great person on heights. I can do it, but not in the wind like this. So I'm sheltering here instead, leaning against this rock. So Prince and Princess Tech used to, you know, what it was, that's the Queen's chair obviously, but what it was, when we were down the bottom at Rock Cottage, and I said Sir Philip Brockhurst built that cottage for his gamekeeper, also at this similar sort of time, that was 1872, he built that chair because he made loads of money in silk in Macclesfield over there. And he asked it, you know, to become a sir and be knighted and all that, you have to impress the royals. So he'd throw massive shooting parties and parties in general, with ladies and, you know, men. And he built this chair, so he probably had a party down at the cottage, and he walked them up here and go, look what I built you, you know, Prince and Princess of Tech used to come in, not tech as techno music or phone tech, you know, that it's T-E-C-K, so it's spelt with, you know, with a K rather than what is tech as we know today with a H. And they'd come and sit on there, and that was there. It's Philip Brockhurst's like thing of like, it's like a gift. It's like giving them gold, but here you go, here's your own chair. So when you come in this part of the world, you've always got a chair. And the princess was Queen Mary, who married George V. That's who it was. So she always had this chair. But now, years and years later now, well over 100 years later now, people come up here, all climbers, and it's like an Instagram seat now, or TikTokers come and sit on there now, and look over the Staffordshire Moorland and the Cheshire Plain. And right over there is Shropshire in the mist and the cloud. But it's going windy, and I think I'll best move on because there's a cup of tea waiting for me in the car. I need to be down there now because it's too cold up here. So before I go actually and get my cup of tea, I should say that chair was built by a Pickford. It was obviously found round here somewhere, and it was carved out and placed there. I don't think it was part of the rock, it was actually sort of moved there. And you know, a Pickford, I don't know if it's related to the TE tree, you know, like Thomas Pickford up at Gander Hole, who brought up there and farmed it, who we talked about earlier. But you never know, there's so many Pickford on this landscape, you know, Pickfords. You know, like Pickford's removal company, that kind of Pickfords. So I don't know if we're related to it or not, you know, but we could be. You know, just think a TE ancestor could have carved that out with a hammer and chisel, but it might not be, it might be related to some other TE, and some other line of family, what that isn't nothing to do with us, but it could be. But I'm going to go and have a cup of tea now, down there in the MG, because it's cold. Well, there you have it. We're back in car, ready to go home after being up on moors with my hat flapping around and all that wind. It was very windy up there, it was. And we've had a cup of tea. It's down there somewhere, and it's in my bag down there. I got my light out, lighting me up here. Proper showbiz. I got all the stage lights. And so there you have it. There's Mysteries of Staffordshire Moorlands, from Mermaids to Best Bowyer to Highwaymen to the Highest Village and Gander Hole, and we had a gander at Gander Hole, what was pretty good. The TE family heirloom, history as well. And we also had a look at Rock Cottage, what was interesting. So it's a very full video. Oh, and we also talked about Jodrell Bank, about TE's granddad put a big penny in it and crushing it. What's lost in the TE family, no one knows where it's gone. So yeah, we've touched on quite a lot of subjects today. But if you've enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe for more like this. It's a mixture of cars, railways, and history on the TE channel, and sort of on the road stuff, because we like being on the road, TE. I do. I like being on the road. So does cameraman. So if you like all that, give us a subscribe. Give me a big fat like below. And give me a comment below. I mean, last video, a few videos ago, no one really commented on it. So make sure you always give a comment on the Thomas Edward channel. Get your comment below, because the number one thing Thomas Edward here loves doing is talking. If you don't do any of that, it's a very sad day, because I like talking. I like talking about anything. So get a comment below. And then the other thing is, remember to, and this is the classic TE, remember to click that big bell. Ding!